Well, we've hit 3 o'clock, so if we make a start, and then as everyone else filters in, they can kind of pick it up where we are. So welcome everyone to today's digital health webinar. Today's webinar is about the Digital Health Networks mentoring programme. And I have two wonderful guest speakers with me today. We've got Amy Freeman, who's Chief Digital Information Officer at University Hospitals of North Midlands NHS Trust. She's also the chair of the Digital Health Network's CIO Advisory Panel. And we've also got Louise Williams, who's Deputy Chief Digital Information Officer at Sussex Community NHS Trust, and is also a panel member on our Digital Health Network's CIO Advisory Panel. And we just wanted to take the opportunity today to talk to you about the mentoring program, give you a little bit more insight as to its kind of history, excuse me, and sort of the benefits, the structure, and then Amy and Louise are here to kind of give you their lived experience, if you like, give you a bit more insight. I can harp on about it all day and say how wonderful it is, but Amy and Louise can give you that proper kind of insight to it. So to give you a bit of background about the programme, we started it back in 2021 with our Chief Nursing Information Officer Advisory Panel, and it was because I think they were getting a lot of ad hoc mentoring and coaching requests, and they wanted to kind of produce something that streamlined those requests. And doing a programme like the one that we have allowed it to still be an informal kind of initiative, but with structure to it. So that is what we developed, the Networks Mentoring Programme, and it is still as it is today, still as it was then, but we've tweaked it, over the years with feedback that we've got. In that initial year that we did, we were able to mentor 60 digital health leaders, which was fabulous. And over the next few years, up until now, we've been able to mentor, say we, like the royal we, the programme, and those that have been mentoring the programme, been able to support over 300 people across the community, which I just think is absolutely fabulous. And hopefully, long may it continue. The programme itself is a 6-month mentoring programme where you would typically have one session every month, so 6 sessions in total over that period. And it would start with you being introduced to your mentor, which I would do some stuff behind the scenes to loop you in with the right people before that. So you get linked in with your mentor, and they would have in that initial period sort of a one-to-one session with you, just to learn a little bit more about you, your career to date, what you're hoping to get from the programme. And then that would sort of then lead into our sort of the monthly sessions that would follow over that 6-month period. Those monthly sessions, it's really important to know, are group mentoring sessions. So I think this is one of the key things about this program, is it's meeting in groups basically to be mentored by one person. Those groups typically are maximum of five mentees to every one mentor, and the benefit of that is that shared learning, really. So it's not just, you have got that person giving you their experience and expertise from a senior leadership perspective, and absolutely do lean in on them to give you their knowledge and their insight, but it's also about learning off the others that are within your group, and we try and mix up those people across different regions, roles, backgrounds, to kind of give that really full approach to the program, where you can really sort of gather on that experience across those different kinds of people. So the program, like I say, runs across a 6-month period, and that would typically run from January to sort of the summertime. So we're now taking in applications for the program. If not applied already, then please do. I am always here to answer any further questions after this session as well, if you do want to drop me a line. but we will then close the applications in the next week or so and look to match mentees and mentors together so that you would be looped in with your mentors come sort of early November, mid-November time, and then the programme would start. So, you know, quite a quick turnaround from now, but hopefully it means that, you know, everyone's ready and raring to go, really. So that's kind of the background structure, hopefully a bit of benefit as to why you should join the programme. But I think, like I said before, Amy and Louise have got that lived experience of doing it from the two different kind of perspectives. So I would like to bring in Louise now just to kind of introduce yourself, give you guys an overview of sort of why she applied for the mentoring program, what she found the benefits were, what she kind of expected to what she got, and then I'll bring Amy in after. So over to you, Louise, for now.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks for the intro, and welcome everyone. So I've been asked to talk a bit about why I decided to apply. I think to put a bit of context, I guess I felt like I'd been on my sort of digital leadership journey probably over the last 5 years, and that kind of coincided with things that happen in life. You know, my kids had started going to secondary school. I'd gone to full-time working, and I had more time and more opportunity. I started attending the conferences. I started attending webinars. I signed up to the digital health leadership course and did the postgrad diploma and then the masters afterwards. And I kind of found that, you know, I'd always loved learning, and I think that kind of brought a real hunger for me to kind of develop more. So I think alongside that, through my sort of career, I guess I'd gone from being a project manager to a program manager, and then was promoted up to the deputy chief digital officer. I had a great chief digital officer who kind of really inspired me. And then that person, unfortunately, had to go on leave for a while. So then I sort of stepped into that chief digital role, and I think that was where I realised that sometimes you build up these barriers and you think the next role is beyond you, but actually when by chance you fall into it, you realise actually no, I can do this, and that was a kind of a bit of a sort of change in my kind of career path. So I went for that first exec chief role. I didn't get the role, but actually I think it had kind of helped me to know that I was ready to move on, and that's when I saw the opportunity for the mentoring program come along. So I think I was at that point I was looking at every opportunity I could get to develop further. So I was wanting to understand what was the role of a CIO. I was wanting to understand where were my gaps in knowledge, where could I go on courses. I wanted to kind of find opportunities to build board experience. I found an individual coach, but I think the group mentoring, that kind of offered something different. I think for me, you know, mentoring is different to coaching. Coaching can help you think about how you approach things, situations, whereas mentoring is around having that kind of discussion which is relevant to digital. So it's understanding common digital leadership issues or digital challenges and being able to have that contextual conversation. And I think for me the group mentoring element really appealed, because as well as there being structured topics for discussion, it was an opportunity to hear others' perspectives. And as you're on a journey and you're developing and you're sort of thinking, what do I think about that, actually hearing what other people think is really good. And also the CNIO in our organisation had previously been a mentor, and she had raved about what a great experience it had been both for her as a mentor and what she got out of kind of the mentees as well. So I think for me, you know, the idea of group mentoring was great, and it really fitted with where I was at my point in my sort of career journey. Thinking about what I hope to get out of it, I'd say, you know, a key part for me was about further developing my sort of network, linking with other people, other CIOs, other digital leaders, where if I was coming up against an issue, knowing I had people I could lean on and kind of get their thoughts, that was really good. And having done the digital health leadership course, that was something I really took from there, you know, meeting people. And you know, the way that the groups are set up is really good. good. Within our group, we had people from acute trusts, we had community mental health all represented, and we also had different levels of seniority. So people with board experience could talk about their perspective on things, but equally people sort of moving up their career journey had, could learn from that and could bring different perspectives. And I think that point I made earlier about as someone who's on your sort of development journey, there's certain things within the sphere of digital that you have very clear ideas about. There's other areas where you're learning more about, and actually I was hoping to kind of talk more about and sort of develop my ideas and my perspectives on things from understanding other people's experiences and learning from them. So that was something I was really keen to do. And also I think it's about that confidence piece. I think being in a small group and treading into new areas that you're sort of beginning to build your knowledge on, actually you can test things out and you can try and you can talk, and it's not, I'd love to be able to talk about all areas of digital, at a conference, on a panel, and talk knowledgeably in a boardroom, but there's always that journey. And I think the small supportive group mentoring program kind of really gives you that opportunity to talk about that. Last couple of reflections, I guess. What did I feel that I got from the program? I'd say that it was a great way to look at operational day-to-day challenges and kind of understand that what I was experiencing in my organisation was really similar to others, and it helps you, I think, actively listening to other people's issues and situations and challenges, and thinking about how you would approach them and how you would respond, and looking at things from different perspectives really helps you reflect back on your own situation and how you might do things differently. So it was that kind of small group discussion that really helped bring out active kind of ways of doing things differently. I think that was definitely one thing I took away. I think the whole bit about confidence building, as I said, being able to talk in small groups. I think sometimes, we've all heard about imposter syndrome. Sometimes you think you're at a level and everyone's working at a different level, and you're creating barriers that probably don't exist. And it's about, and Amy was really supportive for us all in that kind of moving up journey. Just being able to reflect and see similar situations Amy was having to others at different levels, and it's all about kind of just trying to break down the barriers that you may have created yourself, recognize the commonalities that you have with other digital leaders, and see things at a much more personal level. I think some of the things that I took away, Amy, you were really good at sort of giving us homework, giving us little nudges, little actions that you wanted us to go away and do. And I think a lot of that was around, not just about the digital sphere, but if you want to be a leader, that personal impact that you have. And it's about being visible. It's about not talking just digital technical talk, but going out and meeting end users, understanding issues from their perspectives, and being able to kind of really bring stories to life. And then it's about demonstrating how digital can support that. So I think that was a real kind of good takeaway for me. And I was pushed to go and be more visible on LinkedIn and more visible in talking to people. So now I regularly go out and I do service visits and things, and that really helps me connect with our sort of end users. And then I think probably the final point, thinking about where I am now, having done the mentoring, I think I came out with a really clear career progression plan. And I've, since leaving the course, I've got involved with the sort of talent pool in the southeast. I've got involved with becoming a trustee on a local charity to help me, identify my gaps and kind of build board experience. And I've also, pushing myself to take steps to be a bit more visible, really. So lots that I've taken away from it, and having the opportunity to think about it today, just reflect back on that last 6-7 months has been really valuable to see where I was at the start and where I am now.
That's great, Louise. Thank you so much. And it really does fill my heart with so much joy to hear your experience and actually how beneficial and positive it was as an experience for you on your kind of career pathway. I just want to pick out a few things that you said, which is something that we see a lot in the feedback, which is, oh my gosh, kind of everyone's having the same issues as me. And, you know, just that hammering that home as you're not on your own. Everyone is kind of going through similar things. It's not just you, sort of thing, and you have got that support there, that support network to help. And also the confidence thing. I cannot tell you how many people on the feedback form say this has just given me the confidence that I needed to do that. And we were talking just before we opened this session to say, you know, it's amazing at what, you know, an outside perspective, what impact that can have on you, just to kind of say, you know, you've got the know-how, you know what to do, just to give you that confidence to take that leap, really. Amy, can I bring you in now, just to kind of give your lived experience, but from the other perspective as a mentor? You've done this now for a couple of years, so it'd be good to understand sort of why you like doing this program, what benefits or success stories you've seen, and kind of the benefits for you that you've taken away being a mentor, because I think that's important as well. I think people that do this program as mentors do actually find that there are benefits for them, or you know, positives that they get from it as well.
Yeah, thank you. And hi, everybody. I'm Amy Freeman, the CDIO at University Hospitals North Midlands. And as Lauren says, been on this programme as a mentor for 2 seasons, 2 sessions, which I've really enjoyed. And the reason I wanted to get involved is we run people business, right? We might work in digital and that might be our go-to, but actually we are a people business. And I do believe in the power of that shared experience, and volunteering as a mentor was a really natural way for me to give back to the digital health community, which has supported me during my 24 years in the NHS in IT. I know that in the past I've benefited from good coaches and mentors and people who just give you that tap on the shoulder and give you that kind of nudge in the right direction. And so it was really important for me to pay that forward to others who are trying to navigate a similar path to myself. So in terms of how I approached it, because I'm not a qualified mentor or coach, I just reflected on my own journey and what were the things that helped me grow into my role and help me carry on growing, because you don't kind of end here, do you? I also thought about what were the things I wish I knew. You know, if I was getting into leadership, what were the things that I wish somebody sort of gave me that leg up, and so that was the approach that I took. In terms of running the sessions, the groups, I like to give quite a bit of myself. So to create that safe space, I would bring the things that I was being challenged with to the group as well. So we'd start most sessions with a bit of a check-in. How are we? How are you entering the room today? Are you entering stressed and frustrated because of something that's happened, or actually are you in a good place? And I would bring the same vulnerability to the group, so bringing that honesty into the group, which I'd like to think helped set a kind of trusted environment and a trusted space for people to be honest. Because if they know that I'm going through a difficult time or I've got a problem with a particular thing, then you know they realise that they're not in there on their own. So hopefully I was able to do that. In terms of what I hope people get from it is I hope that they do make those connections. As Louise said, it's quite a lonely place in digital, particularly in digital leadership. In your organisation, you might be the most senior person who knows about tech and data. And so everybody's looking at you for the answers, particularly at the moment. The 10-year plan says that we're going to go analog to digital, we're going to transform the world with AI. So they're all looking at you going, come on then, get on with it. And therefore it can feel quite a lonely place. So being able to create a safe space and those connections with a peer group can help it not feel quite so lonely, and then allow you to have that thinking with people who are in a similar position to you. And as you say, Lauren, I get as much as I give out of this program. So I get really great new connections. I get the ability to share my frustrations and learn from the group as well. I love seeing people grow and flourish, and within the groups over the years, we've had people who've applied for new jobs, been promoted, had the courage to be part of the advisory panel. We had one nomination who was nominated as CIO of the year. You know, some really amazing outcomes. Now, I'm not saying that's all down to the programme, but even if the programme played a little bit of an influence on people being pushed to go that extra mile and to have that extra confidence, then I would be, you know, super proud of that. Yeah, so I'll leave it there, but hopefully that's helpful. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So important to note, please do drop any questions that you may have into the chat. Unfortunately, Q&A is not working for us today. So pop them in the chat and I'll keep my eye on that to put your questions to either Amy or Louise. But I suppose to both of you, I know you've both touched upon it, but if you could describe the programme to someone, perhaps like these lovely people that are on the call today that have never heard of it before, how would you describe it? Louise, to you first.
For me, so we would spend an hour and a half once a month through from January till sort of June, July time. There was a structured kind of program to it, so you knew what you were going to be discussing at the next one in terms of whether it was around visibility or, you know, the role of digital or personal goals. So it helped you kind of, you know, where you had time to reflect and think before the session. And then, as I say, it was a small group. It was, as Amy said, a very sort of trusted environment, and you know, everyone had the everyone could feel that they could take whatever the challenges they had to the group, and knowing that it's not just you trying to work through that. I think often outlining a challenge or an issue you had helped you sort of verbalize it a bit, but then knowing you were in a trusted support network, and especially as we developed as a group, I think we got better along the way of kind of chiming in and helping each other out. So it wasn't all on Amy as our mentor to you know, to guide us. We were all sort of guiding one another. So for me, I think it was you know, even the fact of having that hour and a half in the diary, it was definitely something I looked forward to as an opportunity to talk about things and to reflect and to come away with a bit of an action plan of how to kind of bring that into your day-to-day work.
Thank you, Louise. And important to add that you've mentioned, and I didn't mention before, is we do provide a structure to the programme, so that each month there is a different kind of theme, if you like, to tackle, and there's a little bit of prep to that as well. So it's not hopefully not too time consuming and laborious to do, but it just gives you that it gives a structure to the session basically, and means that everyone's kind of working to the same overall goal within that session. We've talked about sort of trusted environments and confidence building. Do you think that is what makes this mentoring initiative different to other forms of professional development, or are there other things that you can think of, Amy?
Yeah, so I think whilst the programme is structured and we do have the topics, we are allowed to go off piste. So if somebody needs to go down a rabbit hole because of a particular situation they're in, we are given the freedom to do that and to flex based on the needs of the people in the group. So I think that's really helpful. I think that shared learning is really helpful, that peer support really helpful. And of course, we've got some guidance around things like where you can go and get extra support, signposting to other services. So it's not just about professional development, it's about building confidence, being able to have courageous conversations, unlocking new opportunities. And we are lucky that many of the mentees have gone on to secure new roles or new additional adventures, like being on the advisory panel, for example. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting programme, and it can be flexible, I guess, is the point I want to make there.
Yeah, definitely. And we make sure that if you do need to go down that rabbit hole, there is kind of that flexibility to do that. We also kind of, alongside the mentoring program itself, aim to run, which we started this year, aim to run a webinar series alongside, so that if there are kind of similar themes across different groups, in terms of feedback that's coming back from the different groups, we can do a webinar on that will kind of cover all bases and hopefully cover all requirements essentially as well. A couple of questions coming in, so, and I'll sort of take the first one from Will. Are mentors and mentee groups matched by role type or experience level? So there is an element of that, but we do try and mix it up a little bit, just to make sure that there is a range of experience in the room, basically, whether that be sort of regional background, role-based seniority. We do try and make sure that there is that variety there. As Louise was saying before, one of the benefits that she found was kind of learning off different people from different kind of walks of life, if you like. And Keisha has said, do we have to be in a digital role already to apply? Amy, I'm going to throw this one to you, if you don't mind. What's your perspective on that? Because we can do whatever within this program, really. There have been people that have applied before that aren't within a digital role. I wonder what your perspective is on that.
Yeah, so this program is for aspiring digital leaders. So you're going to need to definitely have an interest, and you would need to expect that a fair whack of the conversation is going to be around digital. So take that as you think, really. I think, is it easier to be a really good leader and then take a sideward shift into digital, or is it easier to come up through a digital path and then take a sideward shift into leadership? I think that's something for us to debate. So my view would be, if you're interested, put in your application, but there is going to be a lot of conversation about digital, because it is a digital leadership program, and so having some knowledge would be helpful, I would suggest.
Thank you, Amy. Kind of on that path, I suppose, in terms of digital leaders today, if I can throw it open to either of you to answer, what do you see as the biggest sort of challenge for new digital health leaders today, and how do you think mentoring can kind of build confidence in navigating those challenges?
So happy to give an initial view. I mean, wow, we're in a period where the capabilities in digital are beyond anything we've ever seen. So taking things like AI, and I know it's the latest buzzword, but it really is absolutely transformative. Keeping abreast of those digital advancements, whilst at the same time trying to keep your eye on the money, and money being a really big challenged area for us, whilst trying to enable organisations to transform, whilst trying to cut your back office services costs so that you can keep within a financial envelope, for me are really big challenges and thorny areas. So yeah, I think those are really big challenges, and I think sometimes going to conferences, spending time with vendors, looking at roadmaps for digital providers is often seen as a little holiday, if you like, or a little kind of, just a day out of the office. It cannot be that. This has to be a core part of our job, to understand what's coming, what's available, and seeing that as not a jolly, but actually a key part of our role. So I think keeping abreast of the capabilities, keeping your eye on the money, keeping the team motivated during what is quite a tricky period, I would argue, and then trying to keep up with what's happening nationally will be some key challenges I would suggest.
Louise, is there anything you want to add to that?
I think thinking about the bit about how can the mentoring help your confidence in navigating those challenges. I think I found, I've worked in digital in the NHS for a number of years. It was really when I started over the last 5 years or so, kind of pushing myself out there, going to the conferences, joining the webinars, hearing, reading all of the kind of announcements and the industry press to really get into the detail. That's what really, I think, it probably helped me realise why I'd moved into the NHS. I didn't want to work for a private company anymore and slog my guts out. I wanted to slog my guts out for the NHS, and probably get paid a bit less. But no, I think it helps your commitment to why you're doing things. And although, as Amy said, we work in kind of pretty complex environments and having to balance, tight budgets with kind of productivities and efficiencies, there's so much going on. And I think, the mentoring program and building, even if it's not through the mentoring program, building networks and building people that you can discuss challenges with and learn from each other. We do a lot of that with our other NHS providers in our system, and I think it's having moved into that space where there's a lot more networking and sharing and learning from each other. You get so much more out of your job and your career than if you stay in a very siloed, I'm here in this trust doing this project and just focused on the delivery. So I think that's where I get most out of the role, and that's, I think, what the mentoring opportunity can kind of help people develop for themselves.
Thank you. Got a question from on to shortly, but in terms of when you first stepped onto that leadership sort of ladder, if you like, into that leadership role, what do you wish you'd have known at that point?
I think for me, it's probably about that confidence in yourself and knowing that, I think a lot of people, I think it happens a lot in the NHS, that people get hung up on bandings and seniority of roles. And for me, I think as I moved into sort of trying to understand more about leadership, it's understanding that everyone's a leader, whether you manage a team of 100 people, whether you're managing a project, or whether you're in a small team or managing yourself. And I think it's about knowing that everyone is a leader to some extent, and it's about the energy and the outlook that you bring to the room, however big that room is. And I think I guess it's not getting hung up on or those people are above me in a sort of seniority level and therefore they know more than me. Actually, we're all on journeys, and I think Amy said earlier, you never stop developing. So it's kind of having that objective view and trying to bring that to sort of support your own self-confidence when you sometimes, question yourself.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Louise. I think that the realization that we're all making it up. It is really refreshing, and you make decisions based on the data and information you have available at the time. And if you're doing it with the good of the patient at your heart, which that's why we work in the NHS, it isn't for the money, then you'll be making the right decisions and having that confidence and being able to reach out to your peer group and go, I'm about to make this decision, do we think it's a good one? And them going, no, don't do it, or actually, yeah, that sounds pretty good, I think is really helpful.
Thank you. There's a few questions here that are more to do with sort of I think early career. So one question here about, is there some basic training that we can access to start our journey? So I suppose before this mentoring program, I suppose, is there anything that you guys know of that people can do?
Well, I think a lot of the regions have been setting up their own sort of digital skills development networks, and I know, you know, I'm in the southeast down in Brighton, and I know just yesterday the Southeast Skills Development Network released their training and their courses schedule for the whole year, so starting from October through to the end of June. And I was looking through it today thinking there's so many exciting training courses there. There's some of them are technical, some of them are around building up leadership and skills, and some of them are about sort of well-being and things as well. So I think there's a lot of a lot of courses out there that are free that you can sign yourself up to. I think what I would probably suggest as well is, having that conversation with your line manager. If you're interested in sort of self-development and progression, just letting your manager know, because I think often managers and other people will hear about opportunities that maybe don't come to your desk, and it's the more you can kind of demonstrate your kind of ambition and what you want to be involved with, then that's the way to kind of get support.
Thank you.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, of course.
Great shout out for the skills development networks. They are excellent, and I highly recommend you finding out your local one and looking at their programs. Most of them are free of charge. You might get charged if you don't turn up because they want to discourage that, but most courses are free of charge, and a lot of them are remote, so you don't even have to worry about travel and subsistence. So big shout out for that. I would give a shout out for the digital skills. The Digital Academy, where you can do your PG dip in digital health leadership. That is a good program as well. But actually, a lot of us who've come up through a digital track will have a lot of our digital skills through vocational training or self-learning, and that is perfectly valid. And I would, encourage that self-learning and vocational learning. There are some national leadership programs like Mary C. Cole, Nye Bevan for aspiring directors that, again, I think are useful programs to keep an eye out. So just because you're coming up through a digital track, don't become too focused on the digital stuff. That's important, but there are some general NHS leadership capability training opportunities that, if you're wanting to really grow that leadership piece, is worth looking into.
Perfect, thank you. And so with our aspiring leaders, Amy, what is it that you most enjoy about working with them in this capacity along with mentoring program?
Yeah, I mean, I love, there's a question in the chat actually about a male dominated environment, and I like to think of myself as a bit of kind of women's lib. Not only am I a digital leader and have been in the NHS for 24 years, but I am an engineer by background. So I've come up through a service desk, desktop, server support, networking, true kind of infrastructure engineering path. And I quite like to pull some of my technical background out of the bag when people don't expect it of me, because often they will expect the ladies to be from a transformation or a program management or from that kind of background, and when I pull out some of my engineering expertise, they kind of look at you and go, oh, I didn't expect you to understand that. And well, I do actually, thanks very much. So I quite like being able to surprise people in that way. And I think it's important that we do grow a more balanced view. If I look at my own organisation, in my own IT and digital teams, we do have a pretty decent 50-50 split. But unfortunately, that 50-50 split is very traditional. So most of my network engineers are men. Most of my project managers and business change people are female, and I find that disappointing. So there's a real challenge to me to drive that difference, and that is exciting to me. That's where I get some of my buzz from, is seeing people coming up through non-traditional routes into roles, and having the confidence to push through those glass ceilings is something I really like as a digital leader.
And would you say that's kind of one of the most rewarding parts of seeing your mentees progress, like kind of pushing those glass ceilings and breaking the mold?
Yeah, absolutely. And having the confidence to do that, and having the confidence to try something new. And we talked in our group about you know, if a job application comes out and it says that you need to have a degree in whatever, traditionally a female will go, well, I don't have that degree, so therefore I won't apply. And we immediately kind of play by the rules and rule ourselves out of the process. But actually, our male counterparts would very rarely do that. They would go, well, I've got something that's close enough, or I've got equivalent experience, I'll still put my hat in the ring. And there's a reason why they, you know, they would do that. So I think being able to give people the confidence to break those molds and to give things a try is really rewarding. And we have seen through this program people who have gone on to seek promotions, gone on to negotiate salary increases, because we're usually, as females, not very good at negotiating salaries, and having those difficult conversations, and that's been really rewarding for me.
Thanks, Amy.
Just to come in on
go
that
on,
one.
Louise.
Yeah, I think it's just something you said there chimes completely with me. I think when I was looking at the CIO advisory panel, I was sort of saying, oh, that looks really interesting. It's a great opportunity to, you know, to be involved in the conversations and maybe, you know, even spread some kind of level of influence. But then I was like, well, it's for chief information officers. I'm not a chief information officer. I'm just a mere deputy. So I won't go for that. And it was, you know, it was the conversations we had in the group mentoring session that, you know, Amy quite swiftly said, don't be silly, it's for anyone with an interest in digital and digital leaders. Of course you should go for it. And it was those kind of nudges and those supporting kind of little extra elements of kind of confidence giving that helped me as an individual kind of progress through. And now I look forward to kind of being on that panel.
Are there any other kind of skills or confidence moments that you gained from the programme, Louise?
I think it's probably, I think I mentioned it earlier, it's one of the sessions that really struck with me was about, you know, understanding your personal, your professional presence. And if you want to be in a leadership role, just knowing that you need to bring that to the table, you need to be active in conversations and you need to speak up and you know, just sometimes sitting back and listening is not what you need to sort of progress. So it was those sorts of nudges and little takeaways, you know, suggestion to go and be more visible on LinkedIn. And so straight away I went away and thought, right, I'm just going to write a post now and get it done before my confidence levels drop. So yeah, I think there was lots of little things. I think I really liked the bit about visibility and going out and connecting with end users, and I think that's really important. And the value I get out of doing service visits and things now is something I can really kind of bring what we're doing in digital to life, both for our digital team and for, you know, selling the benefits of why we need more funding and more support to do things, and sort of getting that more senior level kind of organisational buy-in to things as well.
Perfect. Amy, to you, how has being a mentor, I should say, supported your own professional growth or kind of perspective in any way?
Yeah, it definitely has. It does allow me to, like I say, share some of my own challenges with people who, you know, are supportive. It's definitely a two-way street. And I mentioned earlier, I've expanded my network. I've been able to gain really good, fresh perspectives. And I learn from my mentees just as much as they learn from me. Louise said it earlier, but going and doing floor walking in your organisation is a really good way of reminding you why you do what you do. And actually, I find this to be similar to that. It reminds me why, it reconnects me with my purpose and gives me a sense of really good fulfilment through that shared learning and peer support. So, oh, and by the way, I steal all the good ideas, and I steal with them with pride. I always ask permission, and if it is somebody else's idea, I always respect that. But absolutely, all the good ideas get stolen, and that really helps me develop my service back at base.
Well, always steal the ideas, but always ask permission first.
Lauren, I was just looking at the chat. There was a question there from Jeanette around when you don't have direct digital or IT experience, how can you best position yourself to get opportunities? I'm just reflecting on that. So I had someone who's an administrator in one of our children's services. I think she'd previously, maybe 15 years ago, done sort of business analysis, but whilst bringing up her family, she'd kind of gone to sort of part-time admin work, and she's keen to get back into digital. So I think after talking to her line manager recommended that she contact our digital team and see if there's any opportunities. So actually what we've been able to do is to offer this person a day a week, sort of mentored experience working on some of our projects. So, I think to go back to Jeanette on that is, again, it's what I was saying earlier, talk to your team leads, let them know that you're interested in looking at different things. And if that doesn't feel appropriate to you, you can always reach out directly to the digital team in your organisation and just see if there's any opportunities there.
Thank you, Louise. Shaki's just come on as well and said, as part of the mentoring program, is there any opportunity for shadowing or secondment for someone who has been attending conferences or training sessions, etc.? As the program hosts, we don't organise anything like that. But have you guys, whilst you were going through the program, or Amy, obviously you've done it a couple of times, have you known of anyone do any shadowing provide any shadowing opportunities? Or
not aware of any shadowing, but I am aware of there were two individuals who were working on similar programs. And one of the members who were based up in Leeds were a bit ahead of the other. And so they did end up going and spending a few days in Leeds, walking through with the project team how they were getting on and being able to share where they were up to. So that kind of shared learning. It is arranged on a local basis, but obviously the fact you've now got connections allows you to have those conversations. And the fact that you share what you're up to in those programs allows you to make those, oh, you're doing EPMA. Yeah. Oh, and you're doing EPMA. Okay. So we can now perhaps work together on that. So nothing formal. But it definitely has happened. I know the visits to Leeds did take place, and there was some good learning there.
Okay, good to know. I've just lost my train of thought. I was going to say I've found it again. One thing that we are doing this year is providing mentees a space to communicate together, so not just within your groups, but as a cohort, if you like, completely. And we will be providing that space on our online discussion forum, which is called the Digital Health Networks, in case you aren't part of it. And I think that will provide real benefit for this next year, with having that communication channel to open up to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Has anyone got these opportunities? Or is anything available? Does anyone know of anything? Whereas we haven't done that before, so we'll definitely be making sure that that's something that we pursue and do for the benefit of our mentees. And if you do have any further ideas on kind of further progressing the programme, we'll be always open to hear more. So Amy was your mentor, Louise. How did you, I think people are quite nervous, obviously, when they first start the mentoring programme. How did you kind of develop your mentor-mentee relationship? How I know Amy, you've talked about sort of openness and it's a trusted place and space. But is there anything that how did that progress over time, basically, your relationship?
So if I start from a kind of contracting perspective, so it sounds very formal, doesn't it, that we kind of have a contract, but it isn't as formal as that. But it's important that everybody recognises that if they're up for this, that they need to bring their whole self into the room, that everything that's said in the room absolutely is confidential, that it's a non-judgmental space. So we do spend a little bit of time at the one-to-ones saying, this is how the programme works, this is what your expectations will be. It is a safe environment, it is a confidential environment, and I do need you to bring your whole self into that room. And that then gives the mentees a choice about whether they feel they're comfortable in doing that. Are they ready to take that step or not, and can either kind of withdraw from the process or can go for it and give it their all. And I think that's a really good way of just setting that initial tone. But I'll pass over to Louise now about how that felt to be on the receiving end of that, and whether it kind of made a difference or not.
No, it absolutely did. I think for me, we're all different people, aren't we? And I think I'm often, I see myself as sometimes more reserved and, less putting everything out there as to what I feel, as to how I feel about things. But I certainly felt from the start that the group that we had, knowing that there was that trust element, and I was able to be really kind of open and, testing out ideas and thoughts, and just knowing that I would get benefit from doing that rather than holding anything back and sort of just thinking about things and not verbalizing them. So I think it was a great environment to help on a personal level kind of develop openness and authenticity and things as well. I think sometimes people can be thinking and processing and having ideas in their own head, but actually when you get it out there and then other people can kind of contribute to that and bring a slightly different perspective, it helps you develop and gives you the confidence to talk more confidently and openly and knowledgeably sort of going forwards.
About to rattle on then, realised I was on mute. Always the way. Yes, we do provide a contract. Picking up on what Amy said, we do provide a contract. It does sound really formal, doesn't it? Say contract. It's not that formal, but like Amy said, to make sure that kind of the expectations on each party are kind of really transparent. We also, as part of that contract, if you like, ask you to get the buy-in, if you like, of your line managers to it, or your employers, to ensure that you're getting that support from your employment side as well, from your job side, just to make sure that you are given that kind of space to join the mentoring program, and you're not kind of having to split yourself into 1,000 different people to accommodate everything. Can I, because we're coming to the end of this session now, can I have your one word to sum up your experience of the programme, please? Louise, to you first.
I was about to say I might have to go to Amy, but she looks like she's thinking too.
Okay, let's come back. We'll pause that one then.
Okay.
What's your golden nugget of advice for anyone that is a future digital leader and thinking about sort of taking on this programme? I mean, that's also putting you on the spot, but hopefully that's a bit easier than one word.
Okay, I'll do my one word now. I'd say fulfilling. I think I'm definitely pleased that I did it. I was very pleased to get the role. I was very pleased that I had a great mentor, and I came out having reflected that I'd kind of really moved on my journey more as a result of that. And now I've forgotten the second question because that was clearly more than one word.
What's your golden nugget piece of advice for anyone that's looking to apply for the programme and take it on, basically? Okay,
so I think digital, 10-year plans just being released. Digital is a really exciting place to be in. We in our trust, we're a community trust, and I work in the digital team. So with those 3 shifts, it's all about analog to digital. It's about prevention to treatment to prevention and acute to community. It's a really exciting place to be because we feel like we're a bit at the centre of it. So I think, I think there will be money in the system. There will be new opportunities to do innovative things and to learn from each other. And I think what the mentoring program offers is that it's a stepping stone. It's not the only way, but it can help you build your network, build your confidence and your understanding. And it's an opportunity to talk and discuss and reflect and learn from others, really. So massive opportunity, and I definitely recommend getting your applications in if you haven't yet.
Thank you, Louise. Amy, over to you.
Yeah, so my single word would be energized. Always come out feeling kind of, pumped up and
pumped
come
and
on,
ready to go.
let's go. And remind me the second question, because like Louise,
what's your golden nugget of advice for people that are looking to apply?
Get stuck in.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Just do it. Perfect. And Alka, I've seen your message. How do we find out more information and access for registration for the programme? I will email everyone that's registered for this session with further information, either today or early next week, which will have the full link on there. Please don't be afraid of the application form. I will say, not to put anyone off, it does seem quite long and I suppose thorough, but it's so that we can make sure that when we've got that information, we're matching you with the right people, both mentors and fellow mentees. So don't feel overwhelmed by it. If you feel overwhelmed by it, please drop me a line and I can help you through it myself, or put you in touch with wonderful people like Amy and Louise who can kind of help guide you with that. So there is support and help to complete that application as well if you need it. But yeah, is there any final reflections in this final 5 minutes, Louise or Amy, that you'd like to put out there to those that have listened today?
My reflection, I guess, would be that in the 2 groups that I ran, we could have had improved diversity from an ethnicity perspective. So I would really encourage anybody from the global majority to get involved. I'd really love to see much more diversity in those groups. I think it would be really valuable to everybody. So please do get involved if you can.
Thank you, Amy. Louise, any final thoughts?
Other than just encouraging people to go for it, I think I feel we've done a pretty thorough discussion of all the benefits of it. I think, yeah, it's a great program, it's a great opportunity, and it's there for the taking. I think putting yourself out there and putting in applications for these types of opportunities is something that's really going to help you on your leadership journey, whether it's this group mentoring program, whether it's going on something like the Digital Health Academy. They've all been massive opportunities and stepping stones in my career. So I'd strongly recommend this and others to everyone on the call.
Yeah, I think you have to be in it to win it, as they say. So, and you've got nothing to lose, so you may as well apply and take on the offer of support if you need it from any one of us. We are here to do just that. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Louise. I really appreciate you giving your lived experience today and explaining your journey through the mentoring program. I hope that has been informative enough. Like I say, there will be further information sent out either later today or early next week, and do get in touch if you've got any further questions. Thank you so much, everyone, and take care for now. Bye bye.